You've been running for so long you forgot what you were running from. Not literally running, of course. You're sitting still right now. Your body is wherever it is, in a chair, on a bed, slumped against a wall. But inside there's motion. There has always been motion. A constant hum of adjustment, of preparation, of scanning the next moment before it arrives. You feel it now if you check, that faint tension in your chest, that readiness. It feels like being awake. It feels like being alive. And beneath it, so far down you've stopped looking, there is something that has never moved at all. Not because it's stuck, not because it's frozen or numb or dissociated, but because it was never the kind of thing that could move. It's the part of you that watches the running, the part that noticed just now when I pointed to the tension in your chest, the part that is reading these words without strain, without needing to become them. It has been there your entire life, before you learned your name, before you understood what a you was. It was there in the bassinet, watching light move across a white ceiling. It was there the first time you felt fear and didn't yet have a word for it. It's there now, holding this sentence in perfect stillness while your thoughts scurry around it like birds. And you have spent decades trying to fix it. Not consciously, not with that intention, but every self-help book, every meditation app, every moment you've tried to calm down, be present, stop overthinking, find peace, all of it has been an attempt to give yourself something you've had the entire time. You've been packing a suitcase for a trip you're already on. You've been saving money to buy a house you're standing inside. The stillness isn't the destination. It's the ground. It's what you're made of. Let me show you where you've been looking. There's a thought you've had 1,000 times. Maybe you had it this morning. It comes in different shapes, but it always means the same thing. I need to get better at this. This could be anything. Better at staying calm, better at being happy, better at not spiraling when something small goes wrong, better at meditating if you meditate, better at not needing to meditate if you've decided meditation isn't working. The thought feels responsible. It feels like self-awareness. It feels like the first step toward finally, becoming the kind of person who doesn't feel this constant low hum of inadequacy. And beneath that thought, unspoken, is a second one. Once I get better at this, I'll be okay. Do you hear the assumption? The thought assumes there is a future version of you who has arrived, who has completed the work, who wakes up without that faint background static of not quite enough. The thought assumes that what you are now is broken, and what you will be then is whole. And the stillness I'm talking about, the one that's here right now, the one reading this sentence, doesn't believe that for a second. It doesn't believe it because it isn't a belief-making thing. It's prior to belief. It's what beliefs appear inside. And from its perspective, there has never been a moment when you were broken. There has never been a version of you that needed saving. The running, the fixing, the improving, all of it is something happening, yes, but none of it has ever touched the thing that's watching it happen. You are still here, exactly as you were before you started running, still whole, still untouched. I know that sounds abstract. Let me bring it closer. You've been carrying your phone all day. Maybe it's in your hand right now. Maybe it's in your pocket, a warm weight against your thigh, waiting. You've checked it, 15 times, 20? You don't count anymore. It's just something you do, a reflex. A little hit of motion to fill the space between moments. And each time you reach for it, there's a feeling, not quite boredom, not quite anxiety, something in between, a little itch that says, maybe something has happened. Maybe someone has reached out. Maybe there's something to respond to, something to fix, something to know. You unlock it, you scroll. Nothing urgent, nothing new. You weren't expecting anything, really. But you feel a little lighter having checked. The itch has been scratched, for now. And then, 30 seconds later, it's back. Now, where were you when the itch appeared? Not physically. Physically, you were probably in the same spot. But you, the one who noticed the itch, who felt it rise, who watched your hand move toward the phone. Where were you? You were in the same place you are now, the same place you've always been, watching, still, untouched by the itch, even as the itch moved through you. The stillness isn't doing anything. It's not managing the itch or resisting it or trying to make it go away. It's just there. The way a room is there when you walk into it. The way a mirror is there when you stand in front of it. It doesn't have to try to be there, it just is, and because it is, the itch can appear, the thought can rise, the hand can reach for the phone. All of it happens in the stillness. None of it happens to the stillness. You've been trying to quiet the room by rearranging the furniture, but the room was already quiet. The furniture was never the problem. Here's what I mean by that. Every technique you've learned, every breath you've counted, every mantra you've repeated, every time you've tried to be here now, assumes the problem is the noise, the thoughts, the anxiety, the endless inner chatter. And the solution, you've been told, is to make it stop, or at least make it quieter, calmer, more manageable. And so you sit down, you close your eyes, you focus on your breath. In, out. In, out. And for a few seconds, maybe, it works. The noise dims, the thoughts slow. You feel a little opening, a little space, and you think, yes, this is it. This is what I've been missing. And then a thought arrives, a loud one. Did I send that email? Or, what if this never works? Or just an image, a memory, something unfinished. And the space collapses. The noise is back. You've lost it. And you feel what? Frustration, disappointment? The familiar weight of, I'm not good at this yet. But what if you didn't lose anything? What if the space you felt wasn't something you created, but something you noticed? What if it's always there, and the breath, the mantra, the technique, all they did was give you permission to stop looking away from it? The stillness doesn't depend on silence. It's not the absence of noise. It's what the noise is happening inside. The thought, did I send that email, appeared, yes, but it appeared to you, to the awareness reading these words right now. And that awareness didn't flinch, didn't shatter, didn't need to brace itself or prepare. It just watched. You've been trying to create a condition you already live inside. Let me take you somewhere else. You're in a conversation. Someone is talking to you. Maybe a friend, maybe a coworker, maybe someone you love. They're saying something that matters to them. You can see it in the way they lean forward, the way their hands move. They want you to understand. And you're listening, you're nodding, you're making the right face. But beneath that, there's another track running, a parallel conversation. It sounds like this. Should I say something here? No, wait, let them finish. Okay, they're finishing. What do I say? Should I agree? Should I ask a question? What if I say the wrong thing? What if they think I'm not paying attention? And then they stop talking. They're looking at you, waiting. And you say something, whatever comes out. And it's fine. It's probably fine. But there's a small gap between the thing you said and the thing you wanted to say, and you feel it. A little friction, a little sense that you weren't fully there. Now, where were you during that conversation? Not in the worry. The worry was something you had, not something you were. You were the one noticing the worry, the one watching the parallel track run, the one who saw yourself nodding, heard yourself speak, felt the gap between intention and word. You were in the stillness. You've always been in the stillness. Even when it felt like you were lost in the noise, you weren't. You were the space the noise moved through. And here's the part that might make you pause. The person across from you could feel it. Not the worry, not the parallel track, but the awareness beneath it, the steadiness, the part of you that was there even when you felt like you weren't. People don't feel your thoughts. They feel your presence. And presence isn't something you generate. It's what you are when you stop trying to be anything else. The stillness isn't a performance. It's the end of performing. But let's not pretend it's easy, because there's a version of this idea that floats around spiritual circles, self-help podcasts, Instagram captions over sunsets. It says, "You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. You are already whole. You are already free." And it sounds beautiful. It sounds true. And it is true in a way. But it's also the most useless thing you could hear if you're in the middle of something hard. Let's say you're lying awake at 3 in the morning. Your mind is looping. Something you said today, something you didn't say, a mistake you made years ago, a fear about something that hasn't happened yet. The thoughts are loud, they're vivid, they feel true. Your body is tight, your breath is shallow. You want it to stop. And then you remember, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind the thoughts. And you try to step back. You try to watch the thoughts instead of being inside them. You try to find the stillness. And maybe, for a second, it works. You feel a little distance, a little relief. And then the thought comes back, louder. But what if I really did mess everything up? What if this feeling never goes away? And now you're not just stuck in the loop. You're stuck in the loop and failing at the thing that was supposed to save you from the loop. So let me say this clearly. The stillness is not a technique. It's not a state you enter. It's not something you do when things get hard. It's what's here when everything else falls away. And sometimes everything else doesn't fall away. Sometimes the thoughts stay loud, the fear stays sharp, the body stays tight. And the stillness is still here, holding all of it, not fixing it, not transcending it, just being the space it's happening in. You don't need to be calm to be still. You don't need to be peaceful to be whole. The stillness is older than your peace. It's older than your pain. It was there before you learned the word for suffering. It'll be there when the suffering passes. It's not the opposite of noise. It's the ground the noise rests on. And here's the gift of that. It means you can stop waiting. You've been waiting for the moment when the thoughts slow down, the fear lifts, the static clears, and you finally feel okay enough to rest. But the stillness doesn't require okay. It doesn't require better. It's here in the mess. It's here in the middle of the loop. It's reading these words right now while you wonder if any of this is true. You don't have to get anywhere to arrive. Let's go smaller. You're sitting at your desk, or your kitchen table, or wherever you do the things you do. There's a task in front of you. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's a message you've been avoiding. Maybe it's just the next small thing on a long list of small things. And you're looking at it, and there's a feeling. Not resistance exactly, not refusal. Just a thickness, a heaviness. The task isn't hard. You could do it in 10 minutes, but starting feels like pushing through something solid. And so you don't start. Not yet. You open a new tab. You check the news. You rearrange something on your desk. You get water. You sit back down. The task is still there. The thickness is still there. And now there's a new feeling layered on top. Why am I like this? You've done this 1,000 times. You'll do it 1,000 more. And every time it feels like evidence. Evidence that you're broken, that you're lazy, that you'll never be the kind of person who just does the thing without all this friction. But what if the thickness isn't a flaw? What if it's just texture? What if it's the feeling of being a body with a nervous system in a moment, and the body isn't particularly interested in the task you've assigned it? Not because the body is wrong, not because you're undisciplined, but because the body operates on a logic you don't control. It moves towards safety, rest, pleasure. It moves away from strain. And sitting down to do one more thing when you've already done 20 things today registers as strain, even if the thing is small. The stillness doesn't judge this. It doesn't say, you should be better, you should want this, you should be able to start without feeling heavy. It just watches. And in the watching, there's a kind of permission. Not permission to avoid the task forever, but permission to feel the thickness without adding a story about what the thickness means. You can feel resistance and still move. You can feel heavy and still begin. The stillness doesn't require you to feel good about it. It just holds the feeling while you do what you're going to do. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that's enough. The thickness softens. The task gets easier. Not because you fixed yourself, but because you stopped fighting the part of you that didn't want to start. The stillness makes room for all of it. The resistance, the judgment, the eventual movement. It doesn't pick sides. Let me show you how deep this goes. You've had moments, I know you have, where you felt it directly, not the idea of it, not the metaphor, but the thing itself. Maybe it was late at night or early in the morning, or in the middle of something that should have been ordinary. You were washing your hands, or walking down the street, or staring out a window, and for no reason, the world went quiet. Not silent, there were still sounds. Cars, birds, water running. But the noise in your head, the constant narration, the planning, the replaying, just stopped. And you were there, fully, completely, not thinking about being there, just there. And it felt like waking up, like you'd been asleep your whole life, and suddenly, finally, you were awake. And the strangest part, the part you maybe didn't tell anyone because it sounds too big, too strange, was the feeling that this was more real than anything else you'd ever felt. That this was what life actually was beneath the static. That you'd been living in a film of thought your whole life, and for one moment, the film had lifted. And then it passed. The thoughts came back, the static returned. And you went back to your day. And maybe you tried to get it back. Maybe you sat down and closed your eyes and tried to make it happen again. Maybe you chased it for weeks. And it didn't come back. Not the same way, not with that clarity. And eventually, you decided it was a fluke, a nice moment, a trick of brain chemistry. Something that happened once and wouldn't happen again. But what if it wasn't a moment at all? What if it was a glimpse? What if the stillness you felt then is the stillness that's here now, just hidden beneath the static? What if the film never went away? You just stopped noticing it. The static is convincing. It sounds like you. It sounds like, I need to figure this out. I need to plan for tomorrow. I need to remember what happened yesterday. I need to make sense of this. I need to be better. I need to be safe. And all of that is necessary in a way. The planning, the remembering, the sense-making. You need it to move through the world. But you don't need it every second. You don't need it now, reading this sentence. You don't need it when you're drinking water or petting a dog or watching light change on a wall. But it runs anyway, because it doesn't know how to stop, because it thinks stopping would be dangerous. The stillness doesn't stop the static. It doesn't try to. It just makes it obvious that the static is one thing, and you are another. The static is weather. You are the sky. And the sky has never been disturbed, not once. Not by the worst storm you've lived through, not by the thoughts that kept you awake last night, not by the fear you've carried for years. It's all moved through you. None of it has moved you. You are still here, exactly as you were before the weather started. Here's the question you might be asking by now. Okay, fine, the stillness is here, but what do I do with that? How does that help me? And I want to be honest with you. It doesn't help you the way you think help works. It doesn't give you a technique. It doesn't make the hard things easier. It doesn't stop the thoughts, the fear, the friction. It doesn't turn you into someone who glides through life without effort. But it does something stranger and more important. It changes what you think you are. Right now, you think you are the effort. You think you are the friction. You think you are the person who needs to get better at life, who needs to figure it out, who needs to finally arrive at some stable version of okayness. And as long as you think that, you'll keep running. Because the person who needs to get better never arrives. There's always another layer, another flaw, another version of yourself that seems just out of reach. But the stillness isn't trying to get anywhere. It isn't trying to become anything. It's not a work in progress. It's not a self-improvement project. It just is. And when you see that, when you feel it directly, not as an idea, but as the thing you've always been, the running stops making sense. Not because you've arrived, but because you realize you were never actually moving. The effort was real, the pain was real, the fear was real, but the thing those things were happening to, the awareness that held them, that watched them rise and fall, that was never in danger. It was never incomplete. It was never broken. And once you see that, the question changes. It's not, how do I fix myself? It's, what would I do if I wasn't trying to fix myself? And that question opens everything. Let me take you to a place you know well. You're tired. It's the end of the day, or maybe the middle of it, and your body is asking you to stop. Not collapse, not sleep. Just stop. Sit. Breathe. Do nothing for a minute. And instead you push. One more task, one more message, one more scroll, one more small thing to clear from the list. Because stopping feels dangerous. Stopping feels like slipping. Like if you stop now, you'll lose momentum. You'll fall behind. You'll never catch up. And so you keep going. And the tiredness gets louder, and the pushing gets harder. And eventually you stop anyway because you have to. But by then you're so tired that stopping doesn't feel like rest. It feels like collapse. This pattern is so familiar you don't even question it anymore. It's just how you operate. Push, 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 collapse. push, 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 collapse. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a thought, I'll rest when I finish. I'll rest when I get there. But where is there? The list never ends. The tasks multiply. The finish line keeps moving. And the tiredness, the deep, bone-level tiredness that no amount of sleep seems to touch, just keeps building. Now, where is the stillness in this? It's not asking you to stop pushing. It's not prescribing rest. It's not saying, you're doing it wrong. It's just noticing. It's the part of you that sees the tiredness, that feels the push, that watches the cycle repeat. And it's asking, very quietly, who decided you're not allowed to stop? Not forever, not for days, just now, for one breath, for 5 seconds of sitting without reaching for the next thing. The stillness doesn't believe in earning rest. It doesn't believe in deserving it. It doesn't think rest is something you get to have once you've proven yourself. It thinks rest is what you're made of. And the pushing is just weather. You don't have to wait for permission. You were never the one who needed to grant it. Let's go back to the beginning. There is a stillness in you that has never once been disturbed. You've heard that sentence before in different words. You've read it in books, seen it in quotes. Maybe you've even said it to yourself, trying to believe it. And part of you does believe it, the part that wants it to be true, the part that's so tired of running. But another part, a louder part, says, that's not my experience. My experience is noise, anxiety, constant motion. If there's stillness in me, I've never felt it. And I want to honor that. I want to take it seriously. Because you're right, your experience is noise. It is anxiety. It is motion. And pretending otherwise, pretending you should feel still when you don't, is just another way of running. But here's what I'm saying. The noise is not the problem. The noise is just noise. It's loud, it's convincing, it feels like the whole story. But it's not. It's one layer. And beneath it, not spatially beneath, not in some hidden chamber of your psyche, but foundationally beneath, there is the awareness that holds the noise, that makes the noise possible. You can't hear the stillness the way you hear the noise. It's not louder. It's not a sound at all. It's the silence the sound is happening in. And you can't feel it the way you feel anxiety. It's not a sensation. It's the space sensations appear in. And you can't think your way to it, because it's what thoughts arise in. So how do you know it's there? You look at what's looking. Right now, you're reading. Words are appearing, meaning is forming, thoughts are probably stirring, agreeing, questioning, resisting. All of that is happening. But who's noticing that it's happening? Not the thoughts themselves. Thoughts don't think about thoughts. They just appear and dissolve. So what's watching them appear? What's here when the thoughts are gone? You don't have to answer that. You can't answer it, actually, not with words. But you can turn toward it. You can notice the noticing. And in that turning, even for a second, the stillness becomes obvious. Not because you've created it, but because you've stopped ignoring it. It's been here the whole time. Before you started reading this, before you started doubting yourself, before you started running. It was here when you were born. It'll be here when you die. It's the only thing about you that doesn't change. And it has never, not once, needed you to protect it. It's fine. It's always been fine. And you are it. Let me tell you what this doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It doesn't mean you shrug at the pain in your life or the pain in the world and say, well, I'm awareness, it's all good. That's not stillness. That's dissociation. That's a different kind of running. The stillness isn't indifferent. It's not numb. It's not above the fray. It's in the fray. It's holding the anger, the grief, the love, the terror. It's feeling all of it. But it's not collapsed into any of it. It's not identified with it. It's not saying, this feeling is who I am. You can love someone and know you're not the love. You can be afraid and know you're not the fear. You can be in pain and know you're not the pain. The stillness doesn't make the pain less real. It just makes it clear that you're bigger than the pain. That the pain is something you're experiencing, not something you are. And that distinction changes everything. Because when the pain is who you are, the only way out is to make the pain go away. And if the pain won't go away, if it's stubborn, if it's old, if it's woven into the fabric of your life, then you're stuck. You're broken. You're unfixable. But when the pain is something you're holding, something you're with, then you have room. You have options. You can feel it fully without it destroying you. You can move through it without pretending it isn't there. You can be kind to it even. You can say, I see you. I know you're scared. You're allowed to be here. The stillness gives you that room, not by getting rid of the pain, but by being so much larger than the pain that the pain has space to move, to breathe, to eventually shift. You are not the weather. You are the sky. And the sky is never too small for the storm. Let's bring this into your day. Tomorrow you'll wake up, maybe early, maybe late, maybe reluctantly. Your first thought will probably be about something you need to do, or something you didn't do yesterday, or something you're worried about. The static will start before you're fully awake, and you'll get up. You'll move through the morning, shower, coffee, messages, the small actions that bridge sleep and day. And beneath all of it, there will be a hum. The hum of not quite enough, the hum of I should be further, the hum of one more thing. And at some point, maybe in the middle of washing your face or pouring water or walking to the next room, you'll remember this. Not the words necessarily, but the feeling. The idea that there's something in you that isn't running, that's just here. And you might try to find it, and you might not be able to. And that's fine, because the trying itself is proof. The fact that you're looking for stillness means you're the space the looking is happening in. You can't look for yourself. You can only notice that you're already here. So maybe you just stop for 3 seconds. You don't do anything. You don't fix anything. You don't make yourself calm. You just stop. And in the stopping, you notice you're still breathing. Your body is still here. The room is still holding you. And the stillness, the thing you were looking for, is what's noticing all of this. And then you keep going, back into the day, back into the hum, back into the list. But something has shifted, not dramatically, not permanently. But for those 3 seconds, you weren't trying to get anywhere. You were just here. And maybe over time, those 3 seconds happen more often, not because you're practicing, not because you're getting better at it, but because you've seen it once. And once you've seen it, you can't fully unsee it. The stillness starts showing up in the cracks, between tasks, between thoughts, between breaths. Not as an achievement, not as something you've earned, but as something that was always there, waiting for you to stop looking past it. Here's the last thing I want to say. You've been looking for peace. I know you have. You've tried so many things: meditation, therapy, journaling, breath work, exercise, better sleep, better habits, better boundaries. And some of it has helped. Some of it has made the days a little easier, a little lighter. But none of it has felt like the answer. Because deep down, you're not looking for a technique. You're looking for a place to rest. A place where you don't have to keep trying, where you don't have to keep managing yourself, improving yourself, fixing yourself, where you can just be. And I'm telling you, that place exists. It's not far away. It's not at the end of the self-improvement journey. It's not waiting for you to finally get it right. It's here. It's what you've been standing on the whole time. The stillness is not something you find. It's something you are. And the moment you stop looking for it, the moment you stop trying to become it, it becomes obvious. Because it's the only thing that's never changed. It's the only thing that's never left. It's the only thing that's been here, steady and whole, watching you run. You can stop now. You were never the runner. You were always the one watching the running. And the one watching has been still all along. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still reading these words. Nothing has been disturbed. Nothing ever was. If you're still here, I want you to do something for me. Not for the algorithm, not to prove anything, but because it matters to mark the moment when something quiet shifts inside you. Write this in the comments, in your own words, but with this shape. I am not the noise. I am what holds the noise. Or maybe, the stillness was here before I started looking. Or maybe just, I see it now. Whatever feels true to what moved in you while reading this. Make it first person, make it honest. Let it be your own recognition, spoken out loud. And if this opened something you didn't expect, if you felt that quiet turning I've been pointing to, there are more pieces like this waiting for you on the screen now. Not because you need to keep learning, but because sometimes it helps to hear the same truth said a different way. Click on whatever calls to you, or don't. The stillness doesn't need you to do anything. It's here either way.